Now at 5 and streaming on crossroadstoday.com, a deadly crash shuts down part of Highway 59 near Hillgee. Plus, heavy rains bring more than flooding to Victoria. A local nonprofit is creating a unique solution. And a powerful hurricane tears through Mexico's coastline. A look at the destruction left behind.
We'll take a look to see how any of that moisture from the tropics will affect our atmosphere for the weekend. Right now, we're looking at sunny skies. A few little afternoon showers are expected all the way through. We'll have more details on your forecast coming up.
And authorities hunt for thieves who pulled off a $1 million heist. How it was done is as much a mystery as who. You're watching 25 News now at 5. Good afternoon and thanks for being with us. I'm Shawna Currie. A deadly crash shuts down part of Highway 59 near Hillgee this morning after a train and a cement truck collided. It happened just after 10 a.m. Texas DPS says the driver of the cement truck was ejected and did not survive. Northbound traffic on Highway 59 was down to one lane, and hazmat crews from Fort Bend County are helping as investigators work to figure out what led to the crash. Rockport police are investigating how a body ended up in the water at Rockport Harbor. The body was found just after 1 o'clock this afternoon. Officers along
The storm down south coming up in a moment.
And Victoria Generals battle the Baton Rouge Rougarou at Riverside Stadium tonight. We'll preview tonight's action coming up in sport.
You're watching 25 News now at 6. Good evening and thank you for joining us. I'm Shawna Currie.
And I'm Don Brubaker.
A deadly crash shuts down part of Highway 59 near Hillgee this morning after a train and a cement truck collided. It happened just after 10 a.m. Texas DPS says the driver of the cement truck was ejected and did not survive. Northbound traffic on Highway 59 was down to one lane, and hazmat crews from Fort Bend County are helping as investigators work to figure out exactly what led to the crash. Bowling ISD's board president Jerry Svatek has officially resigned. This comes after his arrest earlier this week on a felony charge of possessing child pornography involving a victim under 10. Homeland Security led the investigation with help from DPS, the Texas Rangers, and the Wharton County Sheriff's Office. The district says the board will decide how to fill the vacancy at an upcoming meeting.
Rockport police are investigating after a body was recovered from Rockport Harbor this afternoon. Police say they got a call about someone in the water just after 1 this afternoon. Early details suggest the person had been fishing from a pier before the incident, but it's still unclear how they ended up in the water. Right now, investigators are working to figure out exactly what happened. The person's identity has not been released, pending notification of next of kin.
Victoria's mosquito problem is buzzing back after a week of heavy rain, and it's not just a nuisance, it's a public health concern. While city and county crews ramp up spraying efforts, one local nonprofit is focusing on those who cannot escape the outdoors. The Humility Project is putting together what they call mosquito bags, relief kits designed to help people experiencing homelessness get protection from the swarms. The group's founder says each kit includes bug spray, wipes, and basic protective gear, small items that can make a big difference when you're living on the streets.
A little bit of an assortment of things that might be able to help fend off the mosquitoes. So these bracelets with some oils on them that drive away the mosquitoes. The old-fashioned idea of using dryer sheets, because you can also use them for people who have pets that are outside. You can rub them on your pet so that way the mosquitoes stay off of them as well. As those kind of things, any kind of mosquito-borne, blood-borne illness is dangerous. And like I said, when you're unhoused, you can't escape from that.
City crews are back to spraying today. Victoria Parks and Recreation is focusing first on the southern and central parts of the city, with work happening early in the mornings and late in the evenings over the next several days. This brings us to our viewer poll today. What is the best way to help vulnerable populations during heavy mosquito seasons? Is it distributing mosquito relief kits, increasing city and county mosquito spraying efforts, or improving shelter options? And 87% of voters feel that increasing the city and county spraying efforts is the best way to help vulnerable populations. Again, the city and county are both actively spraying, so hopefully we'll see fewer of these critters that are annoying us all within the next several days or so. But go to crossroadstoday.com/vote to weigh in.
Widespread parts of the eastern U.S. are under a double threat of savage storms and brutal heat today. Alerts for strong winds, rain, and possible tornadoes stretch across several states along the eastern seaboard.
As Laura Aguirre explains, even when the storms die out, soaring temperatures could persist into next week.
For the second day in a row, President Donald Trump met with his national security team here at the White House in the Situation Room on Thursday as they discuss the potential U.S. involvement in the conflict between Iran and Israel. The president has said he wants it to be a
ballpark. So for this type of damage is heartbreaking.
Now the cold front that fueled this destruction is pushing severe weather from New England into the southeast. Forecasters say high winds are the main risk, but isolated tornadoes can't be ruled out. Compounding the danger, potentially deadly heat on tap now through the next several days. The National Weather Service warns that more than 15 million people from Washington, D.C. to parts of Florida face a level 3 of 4 major heat risk throughout today. Many places will see highs in the low to mid 90s, but with a heat index that makes it feel much hotter in the triple digits. This heat dome is expected to expand across the central and eastern U.S. by the weekend. In southern Mexico, Hurricane Eric roared ashore early this morning as a Category 3 storm. NOAA tracked landfall at about 20 miles east of Punta Maldonado and 100 miles east of Acapulco. Eric's winds were roaring at 125 miles per hour around its center when it hit, unleashing heavy rains further out across the region. It's the first major Category 3 or greater hurricane on record to hit Mexico before July. I'm Laura Aguirre reporting.
Acapulco has barely had time to recover from its last major hurricane that was Otis in 2023. And that did significant damage to the city.
Eric slowed to a Category 1 storm a few hours after landfall. But now we wonder if remnants of Eric will come to the crossroads.
I know someone who might have an answer for that.
Really?
Yeah. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Mac Perez. Mac?
Yes, we can say remnants of Eric, the debris cloud cover that's basically going to be streaming overhead, and that is going to enhance our rain chance for the next couple days. Now, I'm not saying the storm's coming here, the storm's falling apart, but it's all that moisture that was associated with it. Right about now, we're looking at temperatures staying, shall we say, on the warm side, getting up to 91. Our high, it feels like 103 with the humidity, and then 93 was our high, which is right where we're supposed to be this time of year. Did you feel the mosquitoes today is the big question mark. We'll be talking about that and your weekend forecast after this.
If you didn't, call yourself lucky. Well, President Donald Trump announces that he will allow 2 weeks for diplomacy to work before deciding whether to launch a U.S. strike in Iran.
Brian Abels at the White House as President Trump weighs his options.
For the second day in a row, President Donald Trump met with his national security team here at the White House in the Situation Room on Thursday as they discuss the potential U.S. involvement in the conflict between Iran and Israel. The president has said he wants it to be a last-second decision after telling reporters Wednesday that he gave the ultimate ultimatum to Iran. The meeting held shortly after Vice President J.D. Vance, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, and CIA Director John Ratcliffe were seen arriving at the West Wing was scheduled as an intelligence briefing. Earlier in the day, Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, while visiting the site of an Iranian missile strike, said he speaks to President Trump almost every day and called him a tremendous friend. Here's what he said when asked about his message to Trump as Trump decides whether to get further involved.
We are committed to destroying the nuclear threat, the threat of a nuclear annihilation against Israel. He gave them the chance to do it through negotiations. They strung him along. You don't string along Donald Trump. He knows the game. And I think that we're both committed to making sure that Iran will not have a nuclear weapon.
Meanwhile, 2 defense officials say the U.S. has moved assets into place in the Middle East, including planes and ships. Testifying on Capitol Hill, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth said this about potential plans.
Have you authorized day after planning?
As I've said, we have plans for everything, Senator.
And in the briefing room here at the White House on Thursday, Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt provided a direct quote from President Trump. It says, quote, based on the fact that there's a substantial chance of negotiations that may or may not take place with Iran in the near future, I will make my decision whether or not to go within the next 2 weeks. At the White House, Brian Abel reporting.
Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel, Crossroads Today. Hit the like button and click the notification bell. A loud blast shakes parts of South Texas. How a nighttime incident is raising new questions ahead of a major test flight. That's coming up on 25 News Now at 6.
Also ahead, politics and pressure hit Juneteenth. How culture clashes are affecting the national holiday. County Public Health Department releases food preparation inspection reports. We want to show you how the area establishments that serve food are doing. A few eating places have some issues. We show you those with more than 10 demerits. They include Handy Quick Food Mart and Edna with 13 demerits, Texana Food Mart and Edna with 20 demerits, and Leone's Mexican Grill and Panaderia in Port Lavaca had 16 demerits. 3 establishments received a perfect score. They include Beard's Coffee in Edna, the Sanity Mug in Port Lavaca, and the Boys and Girls Club of Victoria. For the full list, come to our website, crossroadstoday.com.
This session, Texas lawmakers passed another set of bills making it easier for gun owners to access and keep firearms and expanded the kinds of weapons they can access. Read the full Texas Tribune article at crossroadstoday.com.
An explosion rocked South Texas late Wednesday night. It came from a SpaceX Starbase facility in Boca Chica, oh my goodness, near Brownsville, where a rocket on a test stand exploded. SpaceX called it a, quote, major anomaly, unquote. The Starship rocket was preparing for its 10th flight test. SpaceX says all its employees are accounted for. There were no injuries. The cause of the explosion and extent of the damage it caused are not yet known.
Today, communities across the country are recognizing Juneteenth, a federal holiday commemorating the end of slavery in the U.S. But some celebrations are being scaled back or canceled.
Lee Waldman is in New York with a look at why we are seeing a change this year.
Organizers say safety issues and mounting resistance to diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives are making it harder to hold these types of events. The rollback is raising concerns that political backlash is impacting the commemoration of Juneteenth.
In the trying political times we have in the United States today, right, it's important for all of us to understand that history.
The city of Milwaukee, home to one of the nation's longest running Juneteenth Day celebrations, kicked off its festivities Wednesday.
Happy Juneteenth! Juneteenth shows us the way that we should celebrate freedom.
However, communities across the country are canceling or reducing their celebrations because of federal rollbacks on DEI practices and opposition to events celebrating diversity. Robert Bland, an assistant professor of history and Africana studies at the University of Tennessee, says these types of decisions are a part of our nation's history of progressing forward and then taking steps backward.
Obviously, this is deeply connected to our current political moment, and we kind of see the reversal in a number of ways of the gains that kind of came out of the George Floyd protest.
In West Virginia, Republican Governor Patrick Morrisey says state employees will not have a paid day off for the federal holiday, citing financial reasons. In a statement, the American Civil Liberties Union of West Virginia says Morrisey's decision is, quote, just another opportunity to show how little he understands or cares about racism.
Sometimes it is 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, but then you continue the struggle. You continue fighting for history, fighting for rights, fighting for justice for everybody.
While eliminating a federal holiday would require an act of Congress, experts warn that diluting the holiday's celebration is cause for concern that its meaning will be lost. In New York, I'm Lee Waldman.
Well, good afternoon, everybody. We do see an increase in the shower activity, as you see right about there. If you look, if we widen this up, you'll see that it's a little bit stronger down south where the tropical moisture is streaming northbound. So they've got some heavy rain down in the Rio Grande Valley, now headed toward Laredo. All this is good stuff because we still, need a little bit more rain for our rivers and our lakes. We'll be talking about what it's going to do for your weekend coming up in just a moment. Well, good afternoon, everybody. As you take a bigger picture, you can see how all that humidity that's left over from the tropical storm is now spreading northbound. And that's what we were looking at, basically an increase in upper level moisture that is going to increase our rain chances as we get to the weekend. So we're going to see little pop-up showers. I'm not saying the storm's coming this way. I'm just saying that the leftover moisture is going to enhance our rain chance. And you see out here in the Yucatan Peninsula, another deep surge of moisture. So basically, this is kind of like all the ingredients are coming together that we're going to have to watch very carefully anything that moves out in the Gulf of Mexico or even in the Caribbean. Here's our new graphic. Do you have your fly swatter ready? Because the mosquitoes are getting bad. If you're walking outside today, if you're walking the dog or something like that, boy, you got to cover yourself. Now, the lady was saying earlier, aside from protections, long sleeve shirts, hats, anything to keep the mosquitoes away, because it's going to be bad right on through the weekend. And this is probably about a 2 or 3 week period where they're really going to be out on the outside. Now, here's the drought improvement. Here was May, and you can see how while we are doing okay, it was the hill country that was really having trouble with extreme drought. Well, now here we are in June, a month later, and you can see how that area has decreased somewhat because of the recent rains. And with this stuff that we've got this weekend, things continue to improve. Now, we're going to be on the very humid level, index at about 105. But as we get to early next week, it'll drop a little bit because we're expecting more clouds and more of those afternoon showers. 76 will be the overnight low, so it's not exactly cool in the overnight time period. And in the morning when you get out of bed and take the dog out, it's like, wow, it's humid. So watch out not only for that, but also for the mosquitoes as well. 93, our high tomorrow gets to 93 in Karn City and all the way out into the western areas of our viewing area. Now let's take a look at Tropical Storm Eric. It's already begun to collapse as it came ashore with 125, 130 mile-an-hour winds. The storm center came in not in Acapulco, which was good. It came in just to the south of it. And as we zoom in, you can see that the remnants, however, are north of Acapulco. So they're getting rain and probably 50 mile-an-hour winds. But the big real problem was right here with the big storm surge. Of course, the storm is the tropical storm. The hurricane itself is never going to have much luck here. Big mountains in this area, and that will destroy it very rapidly. But as we talked about earlier, you can see how that system is going this way and how some of that moisture is getting up into the Gulf, and we're going to have to watch it to see where it goes. Well, what we expect over the next couple of days is that big, deep southeast wind, and that pumps up some of that stuff into our region. So look for tomorrow in Port Lavaca getting up to about an 89 as a high temperature. In Cuero, you're getting up to about 90. Few little afternoon showers possible around the area for Friday and Saturday and Sunday. And then I'm still looking for a much deeper tropical surge coming in early next week. So we'll be watching for that. That's your 7-day forecast, reminding everybody we do have a QR code. Love for you to scan that. Put Crossroads Today on your phone. Aztec Ford in Goliad is giving away a free generator to help keep your lights on when it matters the most. It's quick, it's easy to enter. Just go to crossroadstoday.com, click the menu, hit entertainment, then contests, and enter your name and your email in the Storm Ready Power giveaway. And that's it from weather. We'll toss it over to Shawna.
All right, thank you, Mac. Well, now we go over to Max Williams for tonight's sports.
Shawna, today is Thursday, and that means our athlete of the week, and a little bit different there from the gymnastics area. Where's it going to be this week? I'll tell you that coming up in sports. This week's Athlete of the Week, we're heading from the gym floor to the fighting circle and Nightmare Striking Academy fighter Peyton Herman. Here's more for our Athlete of the Week.
For this week's Athlete of the Week, we're handing it to Muay Thai fighter Peyton Herman. She competes for Nightmare Striking Academy there, and they competed in a Muay Thai fighting event that was organized by the International Fighting Federation at Victoria College this past Saturday. This event showcased the first of these kind fighters that are here in Victoria. But for Herman, she's been training for this for a while now.
Training for about like 7 years, I think. So I've been doing it a super long time. And it's just really fun, honestly.
Now, Herman has competed in 6 IFF events and enjoys competing in every single one of them.
Doing like a couple of them. I think I've done about 5 or 6, I think. So I'm pretty used to them. They're really fun and stuff.
Being in a Muay Thai event takes strategy and right technique when you begin and end the match. This quality, along with one more factor, is what Herman focuses on during her matches.
Technique and like cardio mostly.
With Herman grasping the craft of Muay Thai and placing well this past weekend, she now turns her attention to the biggest Muay Thai tournament in America, there in Des Moines, Iowa. She tells how she feels heading into this tournament.
To be able to win and bring home a belt to just represent our team and stuff.
Herman and 2 other fighters in Eve Posada and Roman Razzo look to bring back gold for Nightmare Striking Academy. Wish them luck and congrats to Peyton Herman for being this week's Athlete of the Week.
All right, now over to this week's fishing report. And the weather is looking really pretty good here with a lot of sunshine this week there for fishing. And around Coleto Creek, the water's there at fair at 87 degrees with bass catching on those soft plastics and the kind of that spinner bait as well. Then around Port O'Connor, the water is good there at 82 degrees. And also trout around that area could be caught around Alcatraz Island and outside of those jetties area where the winds will allow it there. And then finally around Rockport, the water is also good at 80 degrees with the kind of that. Also, you can catch trout on that live shrimp there, Piggy Perk around there, Rockport too, and the Croaker Flats. So keep that all in mind. Go in there fishing this weekend. Now over to the Texas Collegiate League where we got the Victoria Generals battling Louisiana leading team there. The Baton Rouge Rougarou tonight there at 7 p.m. at Riverside Stadium. The Generals heading in this one 10-2 overall after a tough loss last night to the Brazos Valley Bombers. Again for the Rougarou though, they're 11-2 on an 8-game winning streak. So both of these teams trying to see if they could be in the championship game possibly there going into early August. So we'll see what happens here tonight in this big critical 2-game series at Riverside Stadium for the Generals, and I'll have full highlights there later as well on 25 News Now Sports at 10 p.m. And then finally there, Bay City High School hosted Kings of the South tournament, which hosted a lineman challenge and also afternoon 7-on-7 tournament. Some of these teams that competed were Bay City, El Campo, Yoakum, and Tidehaven. 2 of these teams in Tidehaven, Bay City will be competing in the state 7-on-7 next week in College Station. Tidehaven finished second place overall in the lineman challenge, but they also lost to Stafford there in the 7-on-7, 28-21, and then beat Bay City 34-14. So a mixture there for Tidehaven going in to the state championships for 7-on-7 there next week. And that's going to do it here in sports. Don, Shawna, back to you.
Max, thank you. We're back in a moment. For students at a Rhode Island elementary school, it's a positive finish to their school year. More on their project after the break. Tonight, for the last 2 years at an elementary school in Rhode Island, a group of students meet an hour before the start of the school day. All 50 students and staff call themselves the Kindness Club. Right now, they're putting their finishing touches on homemade blankets. They'll be donated to a children's hospital in an effort to teach the youngsters empathy for others their age. They've also had canned food drives for the community. Very smart youngsters learning a great lesson there.
Absolutely.
Oh yeah, that is super.
Not just about kindness, just giving to others, and you know.
Giving back. You know.
Empathy is a great word, huh?
Yeah, it really is.
Well, folks, we are going to be dealing with heat, humidity, and mosquitoes for quite some time now. They are out there in full force, so protect yourself if you go out. I mean, don't get bug bites. We are looking for afternoon showers pretty much right on through the next few days, with an increase sometime early next week as a tropical thing starts moving toward us. But in terms of any actual tropical storms in the Atlantic, we've got no problem. Eric is falling apart down on the Pacific coast, and we're just seeing some of that cloud cover move up here.
I like your new mosquito graphic.
It's real simple. Boom.
The SWAT team.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mag. Thanks for joining us.
We'll see you back here tonight for 25 News Now at 10.